Hello friends. A lot of students are confused with how does one prepare for DILR section of CAT. This video is an attempt to help such students. Before we start with what is it that you need to do to prepare, let's familiarize ourselves with the DILR section. I'm sure you know that there's no such thing called a syllabus especially for the LR parts. Okay, and CAT is notorious to throw a lot of surprises. The last few years sets that have come have been out of the world kind of sets. They could be of any variety, any situation. You don't usually find them in your regular practice material. So keep all of this in mind while we discuss how do we prepare for the DILR section, right? So we'll take up each topic turn by turn, the standard topics that we are aware of, see the nuances of each of these topics, and then how do we prepare for them. For each topic, I'm going to assign few attributes. One of them is relevance in the exam. By relevance, obviously we mean how frequently do you find sets on this topic. So the vertical scale talks about relevance in the exam. At the topmost, there are topics which are very relevant. So in a year, you might find almost 3 sets out of 8 on the topic. As we go lower, there might just be 1 set in a year. Now, every topic does not appears every year, right? So there would be lower, there would be sets topics which might come in just once every 2 years, once every 3 or 4 years, or even there are certain topics that we study, but which are asked very rarely. Once in 5-6 years or a decade, 1 set comes in on those topics, right? So we'll have a look at all the topics. Another attribute on the horizontal scale, I'll be taking the availability of content to prepare that topic. On our left, we would have topics which the content available is plenty. Where do you get this content? I'm going to talk about it, right? And on the right, I'm saying topics where the content available is very, very less. And where is it less? Wherever you might search for content in coaching class materials, on the internet, lot of sources, we will talk about that. All of them put together, still you're not going to find content to prepare that topic. Yes, there are a lot of such things, right? And why are they so? Because the third thing of topic related is each topic will be represented by a circle. The size of the circle tells us the degree of variedness possible in the topic. How much of a variety is possible? So there are topics where the variety is so huge that there are no boundaries to that topic, right? And in such topics, the idea that you will ever finish your preparation never exists. Your idea that I will exhaust all possibility is wrong for such things. Why? Because these are very creative topics, right? You might solve 200 sets, 400 sets only on those type, and yet there would be a new type which could come in. And that is the reason why content on these types are also very, very less, right? So let's get started. Let's take each topic. And the first topic, and the one that you can bank heavily on, is data interpretation. The good old traditional data interpretation. Data given in terms of tables or line graph, bar graph, pie charts. Questions are mostly about percentage changes. So the relevance of it is about, it has made a comeback in the last year's CAT. Both the slots had one pure DI based set. Even previously, while it was not present thoroughly, but there were still shades of DI involved in different sets. And remember, 5-6 years back, this was the mainstream. This almost the entire section used to be made up of only DI sets, right? Even today, many exams other than CAT, IIFT, SNAP, NMAT, all of them have pure DI. So it is a topic which is, I would say, is as important as it has always been, and you cannot afford to miss it. Thankfully, the content available is very high. When I say very high, what I mean is, a rough idea is there are almost 100 plus sets that you can get in any standard study material, and 100 plus sets is a good number for you to practice them. So that's about DI. The next topic is arrangements. And the first thing to notice is the circle is very large, so there are a lot of types of arrangements. Linear, tabular, circular, incircular, people looking inside, people looking outside. I'll throw in family relations also in that arrangement. So there are a lot of types that can come in, right? And as said, you cannot complete these types, right? You might do all of them and you might still find another arrangement, a star-shaped arrangement, some unusual arrangement, okay? Just keep in mind these attributes of the topic that will help us in preparing them later on. And how is the relevance? Pretty high. Yeah, you'll almost get one set every year. The content is decently well available. In fact, you can get 60, 70, 80 sets you can easily get on any study material. And if you need more, there's more available on the internet. I will talk about them. The third topic that I'll talk is set theory. Now, set theory is a limited in its scope. So the circle is small. Its relevance is almost as similar as the earlier ones. So CAT does give a lot more sets on set theory. Okay, and hence it is coming as that one set almost every year, or maybe 3/4 of a set. 1 year it might miss out in 3-4 years. And content is reasonably, you'll get 30-40 sets to prepare, and that should be enough. There's a topic called selections. Selection is forming teams. Now, you get a set every 2 years or every 3 years, you'll get one set. Okay, these are easy topics. You have decent amount of content to prepare, more than 50 sets. When there is selection, there's a type of condition that is if-then. Now, this if-then is a very small theory. Hence, the circle is very small. This can come in anywhere, right? I've marked it out because I see some people not putting it enough efforts on understanding this if-then statement. It might seem like a very simple if-then, but there is a precise verbal logical meaning to the sentence, right? So you need to prepare for it. There are sets on truth and lies. It is not very, very prevalent, but then one set in 3 years or 2.5 years is the norm. So you need to be prepared for that. Content available is okay, in the middle, somewhere in the middle. You don't have a lot of content, but also there's not a big dearth of it, right? And then the buzzword, tournament based. Lots and lots of students these days, tournament based. Student, look at its relevance. One set in 2.5 years or 3 years. Students have this habit of making tournament based to become a make or break kind of a situation. Yeah, I don't think so that's necessary. If I look at CAT, 2005 one set was there, 2000, late 2000 there was a set, 2014 there was a set, something like this. Just about 3-4 sets have been asked. And why is it such a big buzzword? Because the variety can be large. In fact, think of any game and a tournament happening on that, we can make a set. So it could have cricket, football, tennis, scoring patterns, mostly about scoring ways, okay, or how the tournament is conducted. It could have golf, it could have chess, it could have bowling. There can be lots and lots of things, right? Hence the variety is a little large. Content available, students, you're only going to get about 20-30 sets to practice, and you'll have to live with that. There is no content more than that available. You might source a lot of study material from different sources, but I'm saying stop the feeling that I will probably do hundreds of sets of tournament. It's not going to happen. Yeah, you will unnecessarily always feel inadequate. Rather than that, if you know that I have to learn from only 25-30 sets that I'm going to get, you will be better prepared. More on this as we go along. There are sets on visual reasoning. Mostly they relate to cubes, they color cubes and cuts. Just 1 in 3-4 years type of question, so not very relevant. But yes, content is less. There are weighing puzzles, very rarely asked, very small topic, not many sets can be formed. There are logic games, strategic games. I'll talk in details also. Again, very rarely asked in exam, very few content. We will just be prepared for some 1 or 2 standard games, though there can be a lot more variety. Thankfully, CAT doesn't ask. And then a couple of more latest additions to types are roots network and scheduling optimizing. Roots network. But again, the relevance, we try to make these sets to be as if they're definitely going to be asked. It comes in once in 4 year kind of things. Okay. So, same thing with optimization, scheduling. The sort of importance that we attach to them, it almost seems like you are definitely going to get a set, but that is not the case, students. Why am I saying this is, these are a little varied. There can be many types, and I'm more talking about the content available will be very less for you to prepare. So, you need to understand that also the questions are not going to be asked every year. There are a lot more type of questions that will be present in that exam. So if you are not adequately prepared for these sets because of less content, does not mean your overall chances of cracking the paper as less. Yeah, you can. Now a confusing thing here is, if I just total up the sets, most of them come 1 in 2 years, 1 in 3 years, hardly anything is sure in every year. Then how do the 8 sets get filled up in that CAT paper? And that is where CAT is tough, students, right? The 8 sets, most of the sets are going to be random sets. They are just not classifiable. Every set is different from all the previous sets. So each of them is a type of its own. Hope you get the idea, right? And there'll be at least 3-4 such sets, right? And obviously, since they are so varied in nature, you cannot get any real source to prepare for them. So what do you do in these situations? We'll have a look, right? So these are the various types of topics. Let's look at now what are the different sources to prepare. So it is very essential that you have one set of study material from any of the CAT classes. The popular CAT classes across India are going to be the t.i.m.e, CL, or we have a DILR course, self-study as well as live course. So you need to have one set of study material, right? And a market book is not sufficient, students. A market book is the result of one individual, whereas if I take CL, IMS, time or so on, they have a content team, a team of at least 7-8 people, core people, 50 another faculties contributing. So the sort of variety and the sort of depth and width that these materials can offer cannot be provided by a book that you pick from the market. So you need one set of standard material. And when I say the standard material, I refer to their fundamental book, right? So IMS calls it BRM, Basic Reference Material. Time calls it Basic Study Materials. Career Launcher calls it Fundamental Books. So you need to have these sort of, one of these material is necessary, students, right? So source it, you get it second hand or online or so on. So that is one source. The other sources are the past year's actual papers as well as past year's mock papers, AIMCAT, SIMCATs, mock CATs, right? Again, a lot of them you can find online. or ask previous person who had taken this test. They might have some copies, so you'll have to source them. The others avenues are, other sources of studying are online resources, and primarily they would be YouTube channels or Facebook groups. Now, different channels and Facebook groups are active at different point of time. Some of them are very active and then they die down. Some of them are rising, and so check which ones are popular whenever you are taking the CAT. The ones that are currently popular are Elites Grid. There's something called Quantifiers. LRDI Masters is just a new channel and a Facebook group that has started up, so they post LRDI sets every day. There's Rodha channel. Rodha is run by Ravi Prakash, a very nice faculty. So these are the different online resources which you need to follow. There are more than these also. Now, online has its own problems. That is, you end up wasting a lot of time. So if you're going to use any of these online forums or resources, you need to be very clear how to use them. Okay, so just go over there, pick up what you want and get out over there. Don't do just for your specific. And what is that specific thing that you need to learn from these places? I will let you know. They are not great sources to learn. Why? Because they are very sporadic. By sporadic, I mean one set one day. There's no thread between the sets. They could be random topics, anything. So you're not going to get a feel of completely preparing, right? So it is just one of these sources. It should not be made the source of preparation, right? And obviously you have the entire internet. Now, this is again a place where, finding things are going to be tough. So let's take each topic and see how you can use these resources to prepare for them. First topic is arrangements. Now, it could cover any sort of arrangement: linear, circular, tabular. Yeah, and they go by name called logic grids. So now, if you are very weak, and when I say very weak, I'm only talking about 5% of the population. LRDI is a topic, or LR is a topic where no one has an inherent advantage because of their graduation stream. Everyone is at a level playing field. Okay, and also there's not much theory involved in arrangement. It is just your simple conditions are given which you need to satisfy when you're placing people in a certain grid. So mostly you're going to be well off. If not, then probably you'll start with bank PO sets, government exam sets. They are available in bulk, hundreds, 200s of them. They are not very difficult, so you can start off from them. One of the sources to start is fresherslive.com. But remember, from the main site, going to the test is a little difficult. So it's better to remember the complete URL. It is fresherslive.com/online-test. You'll get a lot of tests, so that start over there. But I again repeat, for 95% of the people, you could start with the standard study material that I talked about. You have to use those BRMs, basic study material, funda books. Go through the complete book. That book will have a chapter on arrangement. 100%, it's more than adequately covered. You should use them. When you go to the internet, please, these puzzles are called as Einstein puzzles or zebra puzzles or logic grid puzzles. Search for them, or else you'll be wasting your time. Okay, lots of sites are there. Braingel.com is there, Brainzilla.com is there. Now, both of them have lots of puzzles, riddles. So, 90% of them are not relevant. So you need to get to the correct page. And what is those pages? Those pages are in Braingel.com, go to puzzles, go to brain teasers, go to logic grid. So till the time you don't reach logic grid, don't solve any other stuff. They are not useful. Logic grid, there are about 600 sets. Great tough sets, right? Obviously, you're not going to do all of them, right? So I'm saying there's a plenty if you reach over there. Same thing with Brainzilla. Amongst the various sections, do only 2 sections. One section is called zebra puzzle, one section is called logic grid puzzles, right? Just do those. Then there's something called logic.puzzlebaron.com. It keeps generating new sets for you, so you can do plenty of practice over there. So in 1 week, you need to devote to arrangements. In that 1 week, finish the basic study material that you have, the entire chapter. After that, use these internet resources, solve about, in that 1 week, solve about 40-50 sets, and I think so after that you just need to periodically keep doing sets. It's a never ending topic because of the variety, so just keep catching up every now and then whenever you get a break. In a week, do 1 set, 2 sets from the internet sources that I have said. If-then conditionals, these are a very small topic. The theory is mostly present in verbal reasoning books of standard material. In DI of Takshzila, we have covered it even in the DI self-study with the DI perspective. It's a very small, finish it off. It doesn't take more than an hour, students. It can come in any sets. There are no pure sets based upon if-then. Okay, so that's it. And what else? Yeah, it's thoroughly covered in our self-study course. You don't need anything else. In fact, you just need 1 day to study it. In fact, you could have done it in 2 hours, but in our course, what we have done is we have added a few puzzles which are purely based upon if-then. Okay, and they're decently tough puzzles, hence the 2-hour requirement extends to, let's say, 5-hour requirement. But once you do those 4-5 puzzles on if-then, you're never ever going to get confused about the these if-then, what is a premise, what is a conclusion, and what all are valid in this. Selection grouping, you form teams based upon different conditions. Many of those conditions are if-then, though you don't need the sort of difficulty level that we have covered in puzzles. Let me again tell you that, right? How do you do this? Every standard material has a chapter on it, and it is adequately enough covered, right? In fact, you don't need a lot of practice on this topic. Yeah, it's an easy topic. So once you have practiced it, that's enough. You want more practice, the best source is LSAT. So on Google, search for LSAT logic games. Yeah, LSAT logic games, and that's it. You need 2 days. When you get a hang and feel, when you know that most of it is about eliminating options or how well can you represent conditions and looking at many possibilities, you get a hang of it, leave the topic. You don't need much more than that. Then practice it only when they come in mock. Why am I saying don't do it regularly? Because the relevance is less. It comes in only once every 3 years or so on, and the difficulty is not very high. Set theory is next. Now, to prepare for set theory, the prerequisite is you need to have done set theory with a QA perspective. So in QA and DI, what's the difference? It's the same set theory, but in QA, the data will be more straightforward. Okay, in DILR, the data will have something missing, will have a lot more variables needed, will have a lot of linkages between different union and intersections. Okay, so that is how I can make 3-4 questions on the same set. But for you to learn this, you should know the theory of set theory first, right? Every standard material covers this topic thoroughly, so you don't have to worry about it. In this topic, students, it's important that you look at last year's questions, because CAT usually, adds this small extra bit in such sets which make it a little tad more difficult than the usual expected set theory question that we have, right? A word here, students. Now, there are on the online world, there's this lot of questions asked about minimizing, maximizing unions and intersections, various union and intersection of 4 sets, 5 sets, 6 sets. So they are not very relevant for CAT. CAT has never asked those questions. They are present in mock CATs, AIM CATs, SIM CATs, but then they are not present in the actual CATs. So I wouldn't ignore them, but I would also not, just waste my time chasing that theory. I would just do a few of them to get a hang or feel of it. And when a new question comes like this, they're usually not very difficult ones. They're just the starting variety ones, right? So I'll just do the starting few questions on such types and then I'll leave it, right? You would need a good 3-4 days to do this topic thoroughly. Also because its relevance is high. Okay, you need to spend that time. Truth lies. People always speaking truth, people lying. Okay, any study material is good enough. It is again covered completely in all the study material. You need about 2 days. It seems a little tough one, but once you get a hang of it, assume anyone to be truth teller, then search whether there's a contradiction. You'll find that you not need more than 2-3 days. Okay. If you are weak, 3 days, but in 2 days it should be done. Now, on the internet, students, there are a lot of questions on truth and lies. But then they're not very relevant for the exam, right? So watch out. I would say don't do truth tellers and lie puzzles from the net, right? Unless you want to just do it as a hobby. You want to build your reasoning skills, that is always advisable, then do it. But remember, they are not the exam variety of questions that come, right? Like for example, there are two guards and two roads. One guard speaks truth, one lies, but you don't know which one lies, which one speaks the truth. One road goes to heaven, one road goes to hell. What question will you ask them such that you can identify which road goes to heaven? Now, this type of questions are not going to be relevant for CAT, but then do they build your reasoning skills? Obviously, yes. Yeah, you are going to do a lot of scenario analysis. If I ask this, then this, the truth guy will answer that, the false guy will answer that, what can you make out, and so on. So it is obviously going to give you a lot of ideas, right? So will it help you in building your reasoning ability? Yes, but will it help you in, is it a type of question that comes in CAT? Not directly, but indirectly, yes. There's a book called what is the name of this book? Raymond Smullyan. He's the one who is credited with starting these type of puzzles. It's an interesting book, but again, the same message goes, not exactly questions like what I asked in CAT. Visualizing based questions, most of them are cube related. So in space, right? Cube, colored, cut, or numbered, placed in the three-dimensional, right? This requires an aptitude. Some people are very inept at that, can't offer much help over there. But all I can tell you is the topic is covered very well in almost every standard study material. So if you have standard study material, you don't need to go beyond it. Okay, so the standard study material is an answer to a lot of type students, right? So do not, unless you do not finish a standard study material, do not fret and fume about how do I prepare. Just get a study material standard and finish all through it. You'll see arrangement, selections, many of them are covered, right? You need about 2 days. On the net, you'll not find any question related the ones that come in exams. So do not search the net for these things. Be ready for, as I said, yeah, the visualization or so on can have some really nasty sets. So if you realize that these are not what you're prepared, then just let it go. Okay, in our course we have done a couple of good, just a couple, 2-3 sets of nice dice being placed and looking at different angles and seeing the dice being rotated, what numbers turn where. So it helps, and that's that enough. You can't do more than that. Weighing based. Now before I tell what type, then there are people who ask these questions in the month of October, November, mock seasons. It shows a clear lack of seriousness of preparation. It is covered in every standard material, students. And so when you don't know these types, I think you're just being paranoid and you're not preparing well enough. Just pick a material and prepare. You will know these types. As simple as that. What are these types? Minimum number of weighings needed to find a faulty coin, or minimum number of weights to measure every integral. That's about it, students, right? Thankfully, there's not very many questions that can be formed with this logic. It's not very relevant in CAT. Once in a while, maybe a question type might come in. So you just need a day. Get familiar with the standard variety, and that's it. Same goes with logic games. These games means there are coins and players play picking coins, and the one who picks last wins or loses. Okay, so again a standard set. We see people inadequately prepared. That just shows that you have not gone through any one material. Go through that first. Yeah, it covers everything. Just need 1 day for it. Remember, games can be a lot of types. Okay, and they can be very, very difficult to analyze. Okay, Thankfully, CAT hasn't asked them. So while the variety can be large, but what has been asked, or in fact it has not been asked. If you remember that grid, it is right at the x-axis. Very, very less, and you'll not even get a lot of study material here. So maybe you'll just get 5-6 sets on picking coins, and you should live with those sets. That's it. Okay, that's your preparation for that. Tournament based. Now this is a very wide area as discussed, and every possible scenario is not present in standard study material. The content available is less. Accept that. You'll only get, if you are very resourceful, you'll get probably 20 sets, 25 sets. You're not going to get more than that. Okay. So after your standard study material is done, this is the place where you use online resources. Okay. So you don't need to use online resources for all the previous sets. Right? I told you the online resources consume a lot of time. There's a lot of time wasted. Right? Time is very precious, students. Right? So for tournament or so on, probably look at these few groups or online resources that I've said. You'll find 1-2 sets more over there. You need 4-5 days at beginning to do those standard set of material and go through all these websites or through these groups, pick out all the sets based upon tournaments and do it at one go in 4-5 days, right? After that, just keep following these forums or groups, and whenever a set is posted like this of tournament based, try it at that time. That is the way you would prepare. Okay, so another good resource here is past year's AIMCATs and SIMCATs, right? That will add another, let's say, 4-5 sets to your practice material. Scheduling optimization, students, give me a minute. We are at scheduling optimization. Now there's no clear boundaries for this. Content available is very, very scarce. So how do you prepare? You will not find it in a study material. So go online, you'll find a few sets. Just remember those, that's it. A few past year paper will add 1-2 more sets, and just you'll have to think on your feet at that time when it comes in the exam. Okay, and so you'll have to live with this, students. There is no material, so you are wasting your time. So when you ask or when you think the idea that I need more content, you are again convincing yourself that I'm inadequately prepared. Instead of that, say, I have built my reasoning skills quite a lot, and that should be enough for me to take care of any such new set that comes across, because you are going to get new sets. Remember, those 3-4 sets are going to be absolutely new to you. Which topic? They're not based on any topic, right? So the way that you'll handle them, the same way you'll handle these sets. Okay, so that should be the idea of your preparation or your mental preparation, and not that, oh, there's no material. Hopefully you get that. Having looked at all of these, now look at a few more details like which order do you do, and a little more ideas. What order do you cover these topics? We'll start with the ones which are just a day's work, right? To remind you, those are weighing related ones or logic game ones, picking coins. Those are the ones that I would do at the beginning. Next, I'm going to cover the easy ones, and one of a decent relevant one is selections. If then condition and selections. I'll do it in the same couple of days, 2 days that it is going to take. And after this, I'm going to look at sets which seem to be very difficult, but then can be mastered very easily, right? And two big varieties over there are truth tellers and liars. Yet to a beginner, those sets might be scary, but once you have done enough work, you'll realize that the approach to all those sets are pretty defined. And visualizing one. Visualizing is that cube one. So again, while you might not be able to cover all visualization possibilities, but at least the standard ones that come, the chances of which are coming more often, are well defined. You start by thinking on vertex, thinking along an edge, thinking along a face, so you will easily get those ideas. The third thing is set theory. Now you would have to have finished set theory in your QA part by now, and you would do set theory. Now these are going to take a little time, like set theory will take around 4 days, visualization will still take 2 days, truth tellers another 2 days. So you are going to spend about 8-10 days over here. Once these are done, then you can come to the never-ending ones. And the never-ending ones, biggest part is the arrangement part. After arrangement, there's this tournament. After tournaments, you have routes, networks, scheduling, optimizing, all these will come in. So here, why are they coming in the end? Because you can spend for arrangement 1 week, for tournaments 3-4 days, finishing the standard material. But after this, you just need to regularly practice them as and when they crop up or when they come up in a group or a forum. Anywhere you need to do your practice, right? The earlier ones, once you get a hang of it, you can directly practice them, revise them in the mock season. You don't need anything there. Very important, students, hope you're paying attention. Very important is you need to practice DI sets for 2-3 days after every LR topic. Students, do not discount the traditional DI. You will be at a disadvantage, right? Or you'll be doing it, you'll be taking a big risk. I would not suggest that, students. CAT is not the only exam that one should be giving. One should look at it holistically, and a lot of IFT could also give you as similar career as a top B school is. In fact, IFT is a top B school. I don't see any difference in major careers that an NMAT or a Symbiosis might offer, or SIBM Pune might offer, compared to many other colleges, right? So please don't be very choosy at this moment. When you're preparing, prepare for it completely. ZAT is there. ZAT has a lot of DI, right? So do prepare DI. It is important and can make a huge difference to where you actually land up, right? Now your preparation also, what you can break up into is the first 30-40 days. You can compress it in 30 days, 40 days, depending upon how much time you can devote, is to cover all topics from a standard set of material. If you are not doing this, as I've told you quite few times through the presentation, just picking random sets from the internet or assorted sources and doing 1-2 is not called preparation. So your first 30-40 days should be invested in a steady material, a well-planned steady material that covers all the varieties that we talked about, and we have told which are those. Do those. Then the next phase should come where you need to look at solving actual past year papers. Okay, CAT 17, 18, 19, 3 years, 2 slots, 6 papers, 6 aids are 48 nice sets you have. And don't discount the CAT 99 to 2007. Yeah, those are 10 question papers. In 2003, there was a leaked paper as well, right? There are those 10 detailed papers, good papers where you should practice. To argue that they are not relevant is wrong. They are absolutely relevant even now. Reasoning doesn't go out of vogue, and there are some very nice sets over there. And in fact, I would say start with them so that you can go up the learning curve in a better way. Student, it would again be very wrong for you to just prepare based upon the sets that have come in the past 1 or 2 years. Remember, CAT is very fickle. You have to get into CAT preparation with a very open mind, right? If you're serious about your percentiles, you cannot assume something is going to happen this year as well. Okay, so be clear that you practice. And anyways, entrance tests have this habit of, going back to things that have been tested long back in the past. So I would have done every paper, not just CAT, even SNAP papers are available for few years. Okay, in fact, I wrote 2008 to 11, 2004 to 11 are there. IFT, more than a decade of papers are available. ZAT, more than a decade of papers are available. There's a lot of material over there free. Okay, so I would have done all of them. I'd see students not doing 10 years of IFT papers and taking IFT exam. It's not advisable. Same with that. Do 10 years. The feel that you get after doing so much is those tests have uniquenesses, right? And it's difficult for someone to explain to you how are those tests different when the subject matter is same. You need to experience that. So you'd have to do that, students, right? And the last phase of preparation is when you pick up the previous year's AIMCAT, SIMCATs. Now don't take this as a test. Solve the sets as practice sets. Solve half an hour. If you cannot crack it in 10-15 minutes, give half an hour to it. You can't crack it in half an hour, leave it. Come back the next day, give another 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Don't worry about the time. The idea is the more you keep coming back at it, the more different ways of thinking you will develop. Till the time you will realize, oh, this is what happened. Oh, now I know. Earlier I was not able to do it because I could not link clue number 5 with clue number 2. This is what I learned here. Finish those set. After every set, ask yourself, what is it that you learned here? Okay, what specific part? Could the data be represented in a better way? Don't rush after one set, yeah, just finishing it off. Stay with that set, assimilating all your learnings. Why initially it appeared undoable, and then what made it doable in the end? So you need to do those thoughts, right? At least at the very least, what did you learn from this set? Oh, I learned that this language it has to be understood this way. Oh, I learned that I missed out this one sentence, the importance of this. I did not realize it. So you'll realize that reading the caselet is why it is very important. All those points, right? And then you'll obviously have your test series for this year. So these are the different phases. Now, what do you do about that entire huge 3 sets which can come out of the blue? What you do is you just build your reasoning skills. If you say you want content and you are prepared, remember the approach is not cramming a lot of varieties and hoping that one of them come. It's a pretty wrong strategy to do that. The strategy should be that I will prepare such that my mental agility, my let's say lateral thinking abilities, these all improve so that the same situation I can approach it in many different ways. That is how you prepare for something that is unknown. You don't say that I'll try to make the unknown into known. You will say, yes, it will remain unknown, but let me equip myself with a lot of armory such that all those unknown also, at that moment I see it over there in the exam, I can crack it. That should be your outlook, okay? And how do you develop this armory? By solving puzzles, solve puzzles, right? And what are the sources? Some few sources. Geeks for Geeks. Now this site is meant for IT people, coding people, right? But if you go to the correct place in that site, which is /category/puzzles, you are going to get all the popular puzzles in one place. Almost all the popular puzzles are over there, students, right? So I think it's a pretty good site. There are a lot of puzzles book, but puzzle book is a little difficult for you to complete or do because one, there are plenty of them. Second, not everything is exactly related to the exam that we are going to take. Though right now you're building your reasoning skills, so it's good enough, but it takes an effort, to go through all those books. Though George Summers is a very nice book, you can do something by Martin Gardner, though it is not easily found. Both of them have lots of books. Okay, so the few names that I've written on the slide, have a look at them. There's one site called cutthenot.org. Very nice site at one point of time. Yeah, but then they relied heavily on Java applet so that you could play the puzzles. Okay, unfortunately it's not supported anymore, and so all those animations are useless. But there is still value because you get a lot of those standard puzzles still present over there. So I would just pick up all the questions from there and I'll try to solve it. What more? If you don't want to go through all of this, in our Takshzila DI self-study course, we have a curated list from all these above sources. So all the popular puzzles and puzzles which are selected such that the relevance for CAT is a little higher, all of them are present over there. So that can also very easily help you. So that's it, students. I don't, I can't think of anything more. So let me end it saying, students, this is all that is available and you'll have to make do with whatever I've spoken now. Now you can think, no, I'm going to search for some even better approach to plan. You will have to weigh the amount of time you spend for searching and the probability of getting something which is far more helpful. You know, it comes at a cost, at a time cost, versus whatever I have, let me pick that up and let me immerse myself into it and let me complete it. Think which one is going to prove to you better off. Just keep searching for an ideal way, or just understanding whatever is there and doing the best that you have with it. Right? I think so the answer is very clear, right? So that's it. Thank you.